Dombrowski and Edwards are not present.
Secretary, review and have discussion on the City Hall renovation project design and schedule.
Real quick before, you do have Thad and Corey from Cedar here, and you'll all remember them because they've been here all along the last, let's say, year and a half. Did you all receive the memo and the larger copy of the outside rendering, the layout plan, and then there was also a plan that had floor coverings, proposed floor coverings? We sent that out, tonight's Tuesday, we sent it out last Thursday online, and then we gave you paper copies too. So you all had a chance to take a look at that? Okay. Off of that, between Corey and Thad, I think we've got 5 pages in the memo there. I don't know that we anticipate that we're going to go line by line through everything, but they will hit on the major points. And if anybody has any questions, I guess the question I would have is, as we go by sections, do you want to stop and do questions by section, or should we have them go through this all and then backtrack? Do you guys have a preference?
Let's do it by sections, otherwise we'll forget questions.
Okay. So then we'll go that way, and we are looking at finishing up the design and then getting this out for bid. The intended bid opening date right now is April 14th. And with that, within a week here, the idea would be that we get it out for bid, or get it out on the street. But having said that, you'll see in your memo, there's alternates. The alternates that we have, those are intended for you to have to make a decision after we get the bids. So it's a bid alternate. You'll have a choice on one way or the other way. And then there are some questions as you went through the memo. There's some things that haven't been clarified. But a lot of the items, though, there is a comparison that says one item is picked or recommended over another item. Like I said, we won't go line by line, but if you do have any questions, then we'll just go section by section. So having said that, that's okay. Good.
Thank you very much for the opportunity again. We're at a point in time that we need to refine a few things, take a look at a few things. As Patrick had talked about, we have the project set up as a base bid, and the alternates will be, in our opinion, the alternates will be deductive alternates. The only way we'd select them is if it's less cost. So we've got some base bid proposed in here. That's what we propose to be the base bid, and from there we'll skinny down after the bids are in. So the contractor will come out with a base bid cost, and then there will be deductive alternates listed that are going to be taken. One thing we will need to take a look at here is the order of the deductive alternates, because once they're put into the contract, sometimes that comes into play with how the contractor is selected. So with that said, again, there's options in here. We would just want to go through the protocol of why we decided, why we looked at these things, our professional opinion, why we put them as the base bid. Corey's done a lot of municipal buildings that he's had experience with different types of flooring, different partitions in the bathrooms, just things that go wrong that we've identified those and taken care of those in our project. Now, not to say if you look at us and tell us there's something you want to change, we'll discuss it. And if you decide to move forward with a different thing in there for a base bid, we'll make the changes and go forward before we go out for bids. Again, as Patrick said, we're looking at opening on April 14th. It'll be advertised this Thursday in the paper, and we're looking to have the plans on the BidQuest, which is the website, next Tuesday, Wednesday, somewhere right in there. People will start calling on and looking for it. It gives the contractors about 3 weeks to a month to put the plans together, their bids together, and so forth, review it, get their subs and so forth. So I think that's plenty of time on the road. And then once we open bids, we'll review the bids, and then from that point, we'll go with a recommendation for award. One thing we did talk about with the schedule was, as you'll see in the very, I think it's at the very end, we talk about letting the contractor come in and start when they want to, but we want to get them started by sometime in September in order to get the middle building removed and enclosed prior to winter time, so they can do all the work inside. We don't want to start too late, but yet if some of the contractors are busy and want to bid on the job, but know they can't start until August or September, they surely can do that, and they just need to let us know. So from there, I'll leave it up to Corey. He's gonna go through the memo. Again, if you have questions, ask him and we can go from there.
Well, good evening. I think we'll start with the bidding. Go right into the alternates there. The display cases are the display cases we'll have in the lobby area. That's just going to be for city displays. Currently we have one here, and then one here. So we have that listed as the first alternate. I don't know if there's a preference or a level of importance that we get to keep that in or take that out if you want that to be towards the end. The other one that we have, the second one is a tile at the front stairway. Basically what that would be is the landing areas. Rather than just leaving that a rubber flooring, dressing that up because you're going to be going up to the council room and putting tile at those locations. So that was that alternate. Window treatments. Sometimes municipalities have someone in town or someone they know, local contractor they want to work with for window coverings, be it blinds or shades. So we list that as an alternate. But the primary windows in the offices do have window coverings right now, and that'll be like a roller shade. That's what we've been having the most luck with on the municipal buildings and offices. The next one is the shower lockers. On the lower level, we're providing lockers for the police. These are more of a police style locker. They're actually built for police. They're geared equipment. They're not the large extravagant ones with the pull-out boot drawer, but they're typically like an industry standard kind of middle of the line police locker. And those are we have those located in each locker room. We have 3 here, 2 here, and this was the women's. At this time, there's less female officers. You can always add in lockers. We have 2 and 2 located in that shower room. So, and that's the easy one. You don't have to put them in now. You can always put them in later. So, and then roof warranty. The industry standard is a 20-year. I checked with some of the manufacturers, and we can't go up to a 30-year. So if you'd like, we can put a 30-year warranty on the roof. Mind you, we are going to be re-roofing the 2 existing buildings, and obviously a new roof on the middle one. It'll be a rubber roof, and then I'll talk a little bit more about the installation of the roof system later on in the memo. Any questions, comments on the alternates?
Corey, the 20-year roof warranty, that's an alternate as opposed to what would not be the alternate, what would be in the base bid?
I think I maybe
Is it
wrote...
just a question, it's just a question that you got, maybe not an alternate though?
Well, I think I wrote that incorrectly. That typically what we would do is a 20-year. There's a 20-year warranty, and then we can do a 20-year, like with Firestone, it's called a red shield warranty. It's a weather-type warranty. I would just include the weather-type warranty no matter what. And then from there, we can step up to a 30-year warranty, which would be the weather-type. So if you wanted, the alternate would actually be a 30 versus 20. A lot of the metal roofs now, they're doing a 50-year warranty on those standing seam metal roofs.
And we're talking about numbers later, you're just...
I don't have the cost with me on that, so, I have it at the office. It's not gonna be a significant number in a project, but every number adds up at the end when we...
If you don't have a good roof, what do you have below it, right?
What's that?
If you don't have a good roof, what do you have below it, right?
Absolutely. I'm a firm believer in getting a good building shell, structure, and roof, good windows. So that's gonna be with the building forever. We can always repaint the walls a different color if we want later on. Any questions on that?
On that roof, what do you have for a drainage system for rain?
Combination.
So, where does the water drain off from since they're flat roofs?
It all drains to the rear just like it does right now. I believe they're 1.5 inches per foot slope. They're a little bit steeper flat roof. So right now on the city hall and the mall building, everything slopes to the south, gets caught in the rain gutter, and then comes down. That system will be new, it'll be updated, but the method of getting the rainwater off the building will remain. The new building, the center portion, what we're gonna do is do an internal roof drain, so it'll come down within the building, go through storm sewer, out to the city utilities, and that'll be the same for the garage as well.
As opposed to right now, it comes off the building and then it flows over the parking lot out to the storm drain. So they're looking at hooking it
Directly.
direct. Yeah.
Good idea.
I looked at an alternative of trying to put parapets on the back of the buildings. I just feel that there's a lot of slope there, it could really drift. I didn't want to get into adding more structure to the existing buildings, so it's just a best alternative. Tad touched on the start date of June to September and then the 300-day working contract. The question I guess we have is the city going to be ready to move so the contractor can start in June, or do we want to move that to July?
Yeah, so this, and I'll start a little bit on that, but this assumes that in mid-April, you're awarding a construction contract, and then a quick start would be about a month and a half turnaround for a start date. We're assuming that we're probably gonna have to move out of City Hall, and we're getting quotes on renovating, minor renovations on a temporary space. That's gonna be 2-3 weeks, running with whoever we select to move our IT. I mean, right now Heartland Services our IT, but to get that all disconnected and then reconnected, that's probably another week and a half, 2 weeks. And you can't really do the IT until your temporary place is set up. And then the time and effort on moving everything out of that building that we've got now, and then moving it, whatever we need, into a new building, a month turnaround is probably, well, it is really tight. But I don't know if we want to give a range when we bid this out. The idea in a range is that potentially somebody's staffing lines up where, or their schedule lines up where they may, if you give them till September, maybe they'll get you a cut on the price. I think June might be a little bit too quick to turn that around. Probably July, July to September, because then that way we've got, at the very least, 2.5 months to get moved out. Because we still, even while we're moving, we still got to do everything we're supposed to be doing anyway during the workday. So,
If that, then I could maybe work some language. Would it be appropriate that the contractor could start working on the middle building and the mall building earlier? And then we could just come up with something that the contractor shall start in June through September, and the city hall building will be available for work as of July 15th.
yeah, I know we talked a little bit about that. The problem with that is the work on the middle building starts with demolition. And that's literally on the other side of the wall from where Vicky and Katrina sit and where the chief sits. So if we're working in a building and they're tearing on the other side of the wall, tearing it all down, I don't know.
I think what Corey's saying is if we allow the contractor to start, say, June 15th on a demo, and what I'm thinking I'm hearing is in 2 weeks, in between that and the 1st of July is when you're packing up, moving out. You're not really doing your day-to-day activities of work. You're in your tail end of moving out and making sure everything's over to the next building. If we're still working in the building on June 15th, I don't know, from your comments, I don't know if you'll be out by June 1st or July 1st.
Right.
So it's a tail end of your move. You get May and June to move, and it's the last week or two of moving everything and making sure whatever's in there that you want out is gone. That's the only thing. That's what I think I'm hearing, where they can start demoing the back area.
I guess the question I've got on that, unrelated to how long it takes us to move and how quick they can start, is what if we bid it out in April and we give them to start in June? What if it's not awarded in April? If we award it,
We have 60-day hold time on it.
okay.
And what we can tell them is in there that the 60-day based on the award, construction start time is X. X number of days. Because that might
It'll
happen.
say- Okay, yeah, I would be more comfortable with days after award as opposed to setting a date on a calendar. That's just me, but it's you guys too, you know.
But what we're looking at too is the end date. We want them to start September 1st.
Yeah.
We want them starting by then. They can start anytime up until then after the award. Then we know that we're gonna have someone in here working on September 1st. You may have someone comes in right away. Never know.
Then there'll be some work that can be done, prior to the full middle building demolition. There's utilities to disconnect, there'll be some abatements, some other things that can be done.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments on that? If not, I'm gonna move on to the exterior, talk about the signage for the building. Currently, City Hall, there's a sign, City Hall, so that will remain. And then what we're looking at is a new stone sign here, a new, painted sign here with cast metal letters, this is what we're considering at this time. And then a new stone sign at the rear of the building. There's a couple options, municipal center, municipal building. Don't know how you folks wanna name this, so. That's up for discussion. Typically we do, stone signs, but if you wanna go all brick here, keep the soldier coursing along here, we could go with cast metal letters as well. We have a couple options.
Costs different.
The stone sign, as far as how much more than brick, I would say it's negligible, because the cast metal letters are going to be more expensive per letter than what the stone sign would be. So stone to brick, and then you toss in the metal letters, they probably balance each other out.
So we got that in writing there, it'll be the same cost, just pick your. Okay, how about municipal center? To me sounds better than municipal building. Building is impersonal, center is where you gather.
I agree.
Makes you feel electronic. Yep.
Good point.
And I did bring, this is another facility we did, they chose municipal building. The type of sign inlaid to the brick, I can just see what that looks like. Now, this being the municipal center, do we want to refer to this building as the community center? Or do we maybe not want to even name that?
It's kind of the same thing, isn't it, Nick? Like community, you wanna feel community. And on the back too, when you wanna put some kind of sign as community center back there too, right?
What we did is we
Something.
signed it as municipal
Right.
center,
Right.
and we didn't put any signage on the back of the mall building. I didn't want to draw any more attention to that, because there's limited property up to that building, so.
Well, there is a door, and people, the older I get, the more confused I get very easily. You need for everything. I mean, even a small sign above the door.
Do you want
Just anything, just small, even to.
Right now, I was.
Isn't that where there's entrance, or do you go through the? Am I wrong? You go through the municipal center to get to the community room?
Well, I was envisioning that they would generally come through the main entrance, because they would be using.
That's what I didn't look at. Is there's a door to? But that's more of a service door for kitchen and such.
Correct. That's not to say they couldn't
Okay.
be used for that function. So there is that option.
Well, most of your parking availability is gonna be in the back of the building, not the front.
Correct.
On the back of the building, there are two entrances. One to the lobby, and then one to the kitchen area, community center area.
It's by signage too, you know.
Yeah, so it's not a big deal right now.
Still install signage yet.
We can
We've got
let it
City
go
Hall
in.
on the back of the building now, but it's not in the building.
Okay, that can slide for now then.
Here's what I usually recommend, is try to find a centralized access, be it the So, any other discussion on the material or the naming?
What did we decide? Did we decide on calling it the community center and having it labeled accordingly? What did we decide?
Yeah, I think his question, so he said the word community, I think the question is if you have them both saying center.
Yeah.
Are you okay with that? I don't know what else you could call the community room, but I mean, it's
Oh,
not
I thought a
really.
room too, community room, community.
Center sounds better.
And then, is everybody fine with the stone, the use of a stone sign on the front and rear, tying it with the brick?
That works for me.
That ties in with the existing Village Hall sign, doesn't it? I mean,
Absolutely, yeah.
keep the motif the same.
We're trying to keep that theme of the downtown, and then the existing wall building has a large sandstone sign right at the center too, so.
Do we have, there's dates on the Village Hall building, City Hall, isn't there a date?
I don't think there's a date on Village Hall, there's a date on the mall building though, 1894, I think.
Didn't know if you wanted to throw something on the municipal center, et cetera, just
A date stone?
for nostalgia, you know, like, you see 18 something or another, and then you see 2015. I don't know.
We've done several of those. We can do it in the front or the rear. There's some nice opportunities at the rear of the building. If eventually this gets some green space, some seating, it might be good to put it on the corner of the elevator shaft.
Yeah.
Or not the stairway shaft. But it would certainly fit the front, but we do have something to keep in mind is we do have our railing. I always try to put the date sign within the stone because we can get a nice stone sign that matches the stone wainscoting.
One other item on the exterior, in the back there, there's some brick samples, and they're labeled front of the mall building, back of the mall building, front of City Hall, back of City Hall, so that's just for you guys to.
And then, once we get into awarding the project, we'll have the contractor do a mock-up of those bricks, primarily the center building, so you can see what that looks like. We'll actually have that mock-up right at the front of the building, so you can see how it blends, make your decision based on that.
Speaking exterior, the west side of the old, well, the new community center, the west side where it's so ugly with the tar on there and everything by First National Bank. Anything can be done? Is there anything that can be done with that? It's probably not in the bid.
I got it in there right now.
Yeah.
What we're gonna do is it appears that there's plaster over the brick. I'm not sure, I don't understand why or how it was done. There was another old building that was there at one time. So we got it in the bid to remove that. The joist tails that are stuck, the old joist tails that come out of the brick, actually removing those and toothing in the brick and then cleaning it. There will be some minor tuck pointing on that surface or on that.
So all that tar look from where the other roof was would be gone.
Yeah,
That's what your
yeah,
plan is.
Okay. Now, are they gonna be able to get it 100% clean to make it look like it's a building? Probably not, but it's gonna be much improved over what it is now. And then, with this being the painted sign, to try to keep with that old nostalgia look, how does everyone feel about the cast metal letter? Or the other option there, I suppose could be painted, but I think something with a little bit of definition might look a little better.
What do you think, Scott?
I think the cast would look better than the stone, but I don't know if there's any other options other than that.
At that location, we really couldn't put a stone sign on because of the way that opening is.
Okay.
It would require, well, I should say we couldn't. It would require additional structural support to hold that stone sign, so that's why we wanted to kind of keep the old storefront theme and not have to have additional structure.
That sounds good.
Well, if there's no other comments on that,
Just, I have one question on, just so I'm clear, on the back, there's two stones designations in the building, or just one?
just one.
Just one, and that's municipal center?
Correct.
Okay.
And then if they decide to at a later date, the second door.
That's what I was thinking, something.
They can add something.
Okay.
We've even come back if for some reason, a year down the road, 5 years down the road, you can't cut that brick and put a stone sign into it. We've seen it. There's a lot of things to talk about in finishes. There's thousands of flooring materials, thousands of paint. To name it, the selections are endless. So what we do is, based on previous projects, both commercial, office space, and municipal buildings, we try to find something that is a good durable product, wears well, holds up well, easy to maintain. Easy to maintain is a big one for our municipal clients, just because we don't have a lot of availability or time to go mopping and cleaning things up. So what I did is I looked at probably the last 5 projects that I've worked on, consulted a little bit with our interior designer, and we put a series of finishes together throughout the building, and those finishes include primarily sealed concrete floors through the lower level. So it's utilitarian, it's going to be staff access only. We're going to paint the walls, it's going to be nice, it's going to be clean, but it's going to be more institutional. The existing spaces, we're going to be putting new drywall ceilings in, and the only reason we're doing that is because of fire suppression and fire alarm requirements. So that's the only reason we're doing that in these spaces. The wall, stone walls be clean, painted, and that's it. We're not going in making it a new space, so it's storage utilitarian. I don't know if anybody has any concern with that.
You're gonna 2-part epoxy paint them, like they do in the hallways of a high school?
A good latex paint.
That's it.
Correct.
What's the moisture content down in there existing? I don't have any idea if they run humidifiers like crazy down there to keep the dampness out or what.
They're gonna have exhaust fans and HVAC, and it should stay relatively decent down there. The building right now does have moisture, but it's, I think, mostly because it's not being used. It's gonna be conditioned now.
So is latex finish coat? What are you gonna put on for a primer or anything special?
They'll have a
Masonry type primer?
masonry primer, I forgot what it's a lock or block
Yeah,
lock, I think is what they call it.
30-year warranty.
I don't know on the warranty on that stuff. But that's basically what they use is, we got paints for every type of substrate.
Yeah.
From masonry and block to drywall to wood, both interior and exterior.
But just as soon as you said latex, well, I assumed you were talking the finish coat, but still to clarify.
So if there's no concern on that, the first one. So the lobbies, where you have most of your traffic, and the main restrooms, the primary restrooms for the facility, we're going to be going with the ceramic or porcelain tile. Anita's working on a couple finish options. I brought a couple samples with, but she's working through basically a product selection, which would be a style of tile. Within that style, there are color selections that'll be made, and once we award the contract and give them the contract, it'll provide us some we'll work through that with you. So we'll have those selections made. Restrooms, what we generally do is we put wall tile up to about 5 foot, easy to clean, wrap it around the paper towel dispensers around the mirrors, good durable surfaces so you're not going back and based on a commercial grade carpet, a Mannington or a Padcraft or a Shaw type product line. What we do in the specs is we select the brand or the manufacturer. We select a style, and then from there, there's a couple different options you have within that style, and then there's a couple colors you have within that style. We'll get into that a little bit later as well.
Do you use much of that, like in doctor offices and such, they're using in commercial, the big squares that could be replaced, big squares of carpet? You've seen that? Do you use much of that?
Yeah, we've used a fair amount of that. It's a little bit more expensive than the rolled goods, but it does have the benefits.
I mean, it seems, the times I've been in doctor's offices, big ones like in Appleton, it's nice, it lays good together, it could be replaced.
It's a really good product. It's come a long ways. The price is coming down a little bit, but again, it is a little more expensive than the rolled goods, so.
I just like that, if you could need to replace a few.
You spill something on it.
I mean, spilling, you probably won't have to worry about too much with cleaning. These days you can, there's good cleaning, but it's just a thing of, some, you could ruin a whole room of carpet just because of one mishap of something, torn, ripped, I don't know. Is there a way to show some kind of a price difference?
We could include that as an alternate. I would say if you're trending towards looking at the modular style or the carpet tile style, that we just go that way versus trying to bid broadly the carpet tile. At some point you get too many alternates, the contractors will just put it up right there. So if we really want it, I think I would just include it.
Include it as the base bid and then put a carpet as the,
Put the base bid, then not use an alternate.
Anyone else seen that much? Familiar with that? Those carpet tiles? You need to get into Appleton more.
It's
How big are these square ones?
They're like
3 feet by 3
big squares, yeah, and they lay tight together. They're nice. I mean, you can tell more about it, but it's just they're replaceable too.
It's got a good backing on it. It holds up real well. The way the backing is structured, the surface or the carpet, the term weave does not ravel. They do have just as good a warranty as the roll good carpet. And then the only thing I will caution you on when you do go and pull a tile, let's say a pen explodes or whatever on a tile, that section of tile is ruined. When you go replace that tile, there will be a color difference because it does have some fade and that wears. So you go and replace one isn't always going to be
Right.
on notice.
I just think of how you see, your rolled products, commercial, are probably just, you've seen some commercial where it's wear pattern, which is going to happen, but maybe just forget all about it. It was just a thought of,
That's a very good question.
it's just something I've seen enough, and it looks good too. It looks professional, and it is. I just was thinking of the wear pattern traffic areas.
So I'll continue. Right now we do have this called out as we were looking at options of carpet versus a vinyl, and I got some options of vinyl in the back. It's not the old vinyl you think of that has been commonly used over the last 20 years. I call it the VCT products, the 12 by 12 squares. You see a lot of in schools. That requires a little more maintenance. It's a good durable product, but you gotta seal it, you gotta clean it. This luxury vinyl, you go through, if it gets really heavy wear and it starts showing scuffs, you go through once a year with a big Brillo pad on a floor scrubber, and it cleans it right up. We've used it in some hospitals now, we've used it in municipal buildings, I haven't used it in a school yet.
Is that a 12 by 12 tile?
There's, depending on the brand, there's 12 by 18, 12 by 12, 18 by 18, 20 by 20, I believe as well. Right now, the product we're looking at is an 18 by 18. So, but again, we were trying to use that product
as evil a tile. I don't think the community center should have permanent in it.
Right.
He said we've been back and forth a little bit before we.
Yep.
Good.
Yeah, I think you'll be a lot happier with that.
Is that the same stuff that I've used in residential too? That, I mean, you could grind sand on it and it wouldn't hurt it. I mean, it came out with commercial years ago. First time I used it was like in '03, and it's just, and you can grout it if you wanted to. You can grout the same stuff we're talking about. Then you can grout it if you want, but don't have to.
I seen it at Menards. They had a Mannington product there, and it was the same stuff that we've used in commercial applications. So,
Yeah, I laid quite a bit of it actually, and some with grout and some without.
it goes down really good. It's a really durable product. I like it. It doesn't show scuffs.
How about in the main area where you have, but you were talking about ceramic in the main hall areas and stuff, right?
I went with ceramic there just because I know there's going to be a ton of traffic.
Yeah, of course, selecting the right grout, that's common sense, I guess, getting the right grout that isn't going to show the, you know, you've seen enough stuff, and what's the best selection for grout lines that don't.
A lot of times we're using commercial applications as an epoxy grout, and we'll use a cement grout on the vertical applications, but all floors we don't need epoxy grout.
So that doesn't, the same as a regular sander, okay.
Yeah, it's, the installation process is a little bit different. However, it doesn't stain. It seals real well.
What's cheaper, slate or porcelain tile?
Depends on the manufacturer, and there's a lot of variable size manufacturer.
In generalities, what would you say
I
that
would say
rate them
generally
against each other?
Slate would be more expensive. Porcelain would be next. Slate, porcelain, a glazed porcelain, a glazed ceramic, and then ceramic. We're looking at a lower level color body porcelain to a glazed ceramic is where we're looking. The product that was going to use, the product for the restrooms we do have, I should have a sample of. The one for the hallways, I'm not sure if that's available. So I got to need to check with the manufacturer on availability.
You're saying something about solid color all the way through the product,
Correct.
weren't you?
Yeah, a lot of the tiles you see don't have the color all the way through the tile.
Right.
That's a lot of them are glazed porcelain, and then we've had good success with them. But if you do drop something, you do have to get some touch up glazing and touch them up, touch up paint. I've seen that used, but that's pretty common. The other products we're trying to use when we get them into the budget is a color body porcelain. So if it chips, it'll have a little bit different color, but not a huge variation.
So in other words, you could take a little clear coat of something and touch it up, is what you're saying, and it would bring a, because you're saying it just loses a little bit of its shine, but it's still the same color.
It's just the surface, the texture. So I don't know that you can touch it up with clear. Most people just leave it.
Okay. So you were thinking of which type did you say? You said ceramic, glazed ceramic. Is that
Right
what
now it's going to be between a glazed ceramic and right now it's glazed ceramic. If Anita can find an option for the color body porcelain within the same budget, that's what we'll try to sell up to that. I just used some color body porcelain on a project recently. I loved it, so it's just a little bit more expensive.
And not all porcelain is color bodied, right?
A lot of them are glazed. The other utilitarian areas, the break room, the little hallway heading out to the rear, records room, evidence room. Those rooms, I'm going with a VCT, something that's easy to clean. The entrance, you can roll a mat out, and it's easy to clean. So that's one of those we selected. On the second floor, the thought process was that by the time you get into those spaces, you walk partway through the building, your feet are going to be clean. So they didn't need to be quite as dirty areas, again, all carpet, except the meeting room and the restroom, I went with the vinyl. The reason I did that in the meeting room is oftentimes in police stations, they seem like they have roller chairs in your meeting room. And those work the best with the carpets. That's been my experience. Any questions, comments, changes?
The substrate on these floors, since are you going to be doing anything to, I don't know, if it's carpet, no big deal, but if you've got a wood structure that's all saggy like the old mall building, I mean, if you have something to where tiles or such won't lay, I mean, if you use those ones that stick down, what do we calling those again?
The luxury vinyl.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is there any chance that you might have to like pour some gypcrete or something to level
Gypcrete or
something to level that out?
Oh, but for the mall building,
That's
though,
having,
you're
that's
looking
having
at
the floor.
one of the thoughts there, and I forget where that came up. We talked about that, I think, earlier when you went to 30% design. Early in the process, you had the three buildings at different heights.
Right.
And so we had that ramp going from the middle building to the mall building. The thought was to take out the floor, so the second floor for the mall building, that floor would be taken out and replaced with a brand new floor.
Oh,
And it would be matched to a
okay.
level, but then I think you also had to just do it anyway, I believe.
Well, that existing floor didn't have a lot of capacity, so
That's right.
it didn't work out best. You could have reinforced that floor system perhaps, but this is the best solution. To answer your question, there may be some localized situations where we have that, but the carpet is generally
I guess I didn't realize about replacing that, and that answers the question right there. Then you thought through all that anyway.
So paint colors.
Hold on a second on the flooring. Just as we've been talking here, are there any changes on the flooring from the plan? I thought I had heard one was the community center on the community room on the first floor. We were going to go from a carpet to a.
Was there a change already?
I have that.
You got that marked on there? Okay.
Yep.
That's the only one I heard.
Paint colors. The building, as I mentioned, wall coverings, the restrooms, the public restrooms will be wall tile, the first and second floor. The remainder of the walls are going to be painted. We didn't include any fancy vinyl wall coverings. Some people love them, some people hate them. So municipal building, everybody's got to come and visit hopefully, so we'll paint colors. 2 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road, it's easy to change. So good quality paints. I tend to go to a glossier paint, but for your project, I went with a semi-gloss in the specs. What we're going to include is up to 4 paint colors for the project. We're not going to say this color goes here, that color goes there. We're not going to say it's white. We're not going to say it's gray. We're not going to say it's brown. That'll come a little bit later on in the construction. And that might be something we want to set up a committee for and discuss.
One thing I'd like to see in the conference rooms in probably community center would be a magnetic base coat, so that nobody tapes anything to a wall. Instead, use magnets for the whiteboards, put it up. I've used that before and it works great. That way nobody rips off your paint or your wall cover.
If we do that, where would you want that on the whole room?
No, it would at least, well, like, probably 2 walls in the conference rooms.
So
And offices. Right.
you think maybe this wall here, this might be more effective.
That'd be more effective there.
Okay.
Same with the meeting rooms, 1 wall, so that if you were designing anything or doing anything,
right where you come in, and it's, yeah.
I have a quote right here.
I didn't see that.
I also included a small coat rack in the city hall, by the city hall entrance, and one in the police. So, generally, we have some extra gear that you may want to store in the winter time. Any other comments or discussion on paints, wall coverings? The rear stairway right now is intended to be block. That's a secondary exit, so it'll be painted block. The front door will be drywall painted. Concern on that? Great. Oh, what did I paint? Woodwork. Hey, you come through this building, you see more wood, and you'll also see that in some portions of the city hall building. We're not using a lot of wood on this building, in the renovation project. Vinyl base, carpet base for our rooms. It holds up better, it doesn't get scuffed up, beat up, doesn't get water stained from mopping. So that's the reason we go that route. It's more long-term.
What about doors and molding around doors?
The doors will be a hollow metal door, similar to what you have here. So there won't be any trim around that. The doors, right now we're proposing as an oak door, solid core, oak door, 5 ply. Good solid doors. Other trim work, there will be some trim work on some of the windows. We have some casement, some double hung windows, so you'll have some woodwork there. The typical window, unless we specify, and it's added cost, in most cases a significant added cost to go to oak, but typically the windows will come behind. So they can trim it with masonry.
Nothing in the front entrance.
Front entrance was boring. Oh, yeah, that's right now we have tile in the front entrance, and then as you come in, the base bit would be tile in our landings, rubber treads, and then again tile at the landings. If we don't go that route, the alternate would be to go with rubber on those landings, and I have some samples of that after that. You see that in a lot of buildings nowadays are using that rubber flooring. It's good, quiet. It doesn't have that how would you say prestigious feel as tile does, but it's a good, durable, cleanable product. The stair railings, right now we're matching the stair railings from the front of the building. Right out here, we have a small ramp getting down out of the middle portion of those 2 steps going down. We have a metal railing, vertical spindles or balusters, and we'll use that same railing up to the stairways. It'll be a painted metal handrail, all welded, solid connections. Doors, I talked a little bit about that, open doors, solid doors. I got some samples just so you can see what the colors, different things are. Again, that doesn't need to be selected at this point. That color will be selected. It's in the base bid for the standard colors. So, the service windows for City Hall, as well as the police department. So you can come into the City Hall lobby, there's a service window here. What we're proposing is that service window will have a slide underneath, it'll have a countertop, and then there will be an opening in the glass. It's about 8 to 10 inches, and then you'll be able to do your business with the city staff through that window.
where I've seen like a speaker that, right, it's not, to communicate back and forth, there's some kind of a speaker or something that magnifies your voice.
With the slide under that we have.
Haven't you seen those about eye level or something?
Yeah, we won't need that with this instance, so.
So they'll be able to communicate effectively as.
Yeah, we're looking at a good, like 10 to 12 inch opening that'll still be there for City Hall. But on the police though, you may, because
The
it's
police
going to be a solid glass, with just a little drawer that comes out. That would probably have a microphone or something of a,
Just a
speaker hole or something like
just
that.
a grill. The bulletproof ones, those are much more, they're a thicker frame, thicker glass, so the speaker, the grill doesn't work. Then you have a speaker, sometimes it'll go electronic, sometimes speaker, or otherwise what we've done is they'll have a grill or a method of passing the sound through the frame. It's within the system. The bulletproof stuff is pretty specialized. Any other questions? Door access. To go through door by door, they'd have to pull up the electrical plan. What we've done is rather than going through and putting key fobs and swipe cards at every door, we scaled that back, trying to hit the main entrances. Some of the key points that need access control for the police, their evidence room, their weapons room, evidence processing room, so they can tell who comes and goes, and then also into the community center. So just those key points. Every office doesn't have a key fob. We can certainly do that, but with that comes added cost. I don't know if anybody has any questions or cares to know any more about that. Insulation on the roof, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to go with a EPDM or rubber roof. We're proposing an R36 or an R38, so your insulation on a new building will be the same as the old buildings. Insulation between all the offices around the restrooms. That insulation is just a sound attenuating pad, just to keep the noise down. So you can have a meeting in private, not have to worry about what everybody's hearing. Everybody's saying rather. So, again, HVAC, there was a question on furnace location. We have furnaces down here in this mechanical room. No heating or furnace devices on the main level. Everything serves as the base on the second level. Then we have furnaces within this room and a unit that's hung up in the ceiling. And then above the new building, we have two rooftop units. The rooftop units are there to serve the community room. The furnaces serve the remainder of the spaces. Just looking at these spaces, these are similar in size to a house. So the furnaces work really well, easy to maintain. Any local HVAC guy can come and work on them. So that's kind of why we tried that route. They're very, very efficient nowadays. Cooling will be, for those spaces, will be similar to what you have in your house. Those units will be placed on the roof, and then also two up here. So to maintain those condensing units, you'll go out the door, the second level place onto this roof. To maintain those units, there's a roof ladder here. You climb up onto this roof, and you got access to the rooftop units and the two condensing units. Good access to maintain everything. And it's on the site, so you're not looking at them tripping out of your back door.
And especially with that back area, we don't have a whole lot of room to be moving in and out. We're looking to make it a little more aesthetically pleasing for the entrance, so putting all the rooftops on top of what I have to do.
The reason for the rooftops versus furnaces for those spaces is because of the number of people that we have in the community room, or potential for the number of people we have in the community room, council room. You're going to have higher airflow demand, so that's where the rooftop units will work better. Have much more success with those. Plumbing, typical plumbing fixtures that you see in commercial facilities, sensor faucets, flush valve toilets, so
once you set an office in a municipal building, you don't see it rearranged very, very frequently. Convenience outlets and data ports throughout the remainder of the building. And then I was talking to our electrical designer about adding outlets and data ports if you would ever want to add wireless access points at a later date. So I don't know if there's any questions on that. One of the, I was talking with Jeff today. We are trying to come up with a solution, since we're not including emergency power, that we can have the panels situated so that if there would ever be a long-term outage, you could bring in a generator and run portions of the building. It's not gonna be set up like a permanent generator with a transfer switch and everything, but providing opportunity that you could potentially power this building. So. Fixtures, furnishings, there's not a lot there. We have some built-ins here and there, some casework, very simple counters, and then just countertops for the restrooms. We have no solid surface, no quartz, no granite, nothing like that. Good institutional laminate products for all those. And then the sliding partition, I guess, you know, we covered all the wall covering except the sliding partition. You can get that in a vinyl wall covering or a fabric wall covering. So I don't know if you have a preference there. Right now we have it, I believe, is fabric.
Yes. And what they're talking about with that is the council chambers. You'd be able to split it into two meeting rooms. What would you want that wall to look like? Is there a difference with sound at all? If it's
I
a
tend to
fabric
think
as
the
opposed to-
carpet is a little bit better, but, you know, the sound values that they publish are the same, so.
Is there a weight difference? Is that a manual pulling across?
No, there wouldn't be any significant weight difference.
Is that an accordion type folding
No, it's panelized.
device, or it's paneled? So where does it go? Does it fold, is it like a bifold unit
No, it'll
that folds up
actually-
flat, or?
It'll
Like an
keep
accordion
tucking in.
almost, yeah.
Yeah, it just kinda keeps tucking in and stacking into the corner here. There's a little L-hole on the second floor.
I've seen it with carpet and it looks really nice.
Yeah, that would be your fabric stuff.
Yeah, it looks really nice from one place that I cleaned. They have it to, if they have to do two funerals, they have that where they can portion it off, so they got two parlors.
Yeah, I've done them both ways. Usually in renovation projects, I think it says floor mount operable. I changed that, I'm gonna go to a ceiling mount. You're gonna be much happier with that. The floor mount ones, they can rack a little bit, and, you know, although they're more cost effective, you're not gonna be happy with that. So what I did is, there's a product out there where they have a truss that's attached to the system that'll go up in the ceiling space. And then this partition wall actually hangs from that, and then the weight is supported down on the end, so. Took a little bit to get that figured out, but I think in the long term, you're gonna be happier. I guess is there any other discussion on the vinyl or the carpet, let's say?
I would prefer the carpet.
Does it have better sound deadening qualities going with the carpet-based?
They don't publish
Divider?
different values based on a test, so, that I've seen anyways. You know, it's either with the I think what they do is they set up their test, the tests are quite expensive as I understand, so I think they set up the test with one surface, and, you know, with the vinyl, I would suspect is probably not quite as sound. And it's gonna depend on the sound too, what type of sound. The vinyl is gonna probably be more reflective, where the carpet is gonna be more deadening, but the sound transfer through the wall system itself, I don't know that it makes much difference. I think you're gonna have good acoustics in those rooms. They're not really tall. We got ceiling tile throughout the space. You're gonna have carpet, and depending what you do with the furniture, it should be a really nice space.
As far as ceiling ceilings within the restrooms will be vinyl tile, and then throughout the rest of the main level second is just something that's common to commercial and government. Isn't that gonna be the same in the bathroom? When you say vinyl, I'm not talking those, well, I'm sure it's,
It's actually, what it is the tile that you'll have through the main facility will look just like this, except it has a, I'll just call it a groove on the edge, and I got a sample of that with me. I didn't grab a cop or a sample of it.
something that drops down a little,
It just has a little reveal to it, it's a tegular edge.
so it's attractive, not,
Or
Correct.
decorative.
And then it just hides some of the joints and the curling. These are probably 5/8 or a half-inch tile, and you can see curling in some of them because you see the lights pulling down. But the restrooms, what we use is, it's called a vinyl rock tile. It's the same size, 2 foot by 2 foot, and it's an actual panel of drywall or gypsum, and then they put a vinyl surface on it.
okay.
I would say 70%, if not more, restrooms have that. It's just a good, durable, cleanable surface, moisture resistant, doesn't take odors, so good product.
Okay.
And I've used it in 100% of municipal facilities. I've done.
Okay.
Just a couple other things, if you're thinking of any other questions. You know, the focus on energy, we're in touch with the local rep. So we're gonna try to get them involved and learn what we can get for grants, or not grants, but incentive funds to focus on energy. That won't come till the end of the project or till the installation of the products that are eligible for the incentives, but we're starting that process. I actually had focus into my office today for a couple other projects, so hopefully we'll get you some money.
They don't have anything going on for LED lighting for municipal buildings?
They do. They also have some stuff for T8. We talked about the LED lighting today. Interior applications, it's great product, great light, very efficient. However, they're still, I shouldn't say very expensive, they're quite expensive yet compared to the old T8 lights. The T8 lights have been around for a number of years, but they were always, one of the most efficient lights. Now what they've done is they've kind of become the industry norm. So if you want to step up, you're spending more money, significantly more money to go to the LEDs. So we're still sticking to the T8s. Depending on the ballast and the configuration of the switching, there may be some incentives available.
So that is a fluorescent type light then, correct?
Correct.
Very nice light. We're putting it in the foundry.
The T8s?
No, LED.
Oh, the LED. Yeah, they are. They're great. But they do get expendy.
Well, it's got like a 2-year payback on it, so that they were, for our application, that was because what we use.
What you're switching from.
Yeah.
Yeah. You may have been with the old T12 style. Yeah, if we're comparing T8s to the LEDs, I think probably within the next couple of years, the price will come down. I think it'll be more attractive, but I'm still, I'm a steward of the tax dollar for you folks, so I'm trying to give you my best advice based on what we've done in the past and what our engineers are telling me, so.
We've got a lot of T8 in stock too, because that's what we've been putting a lot of T8
Sure.
lights in at City Hall now.
Elevator, we've been in touch with those folks, working with them, working with a local company. The elevator's gonna be a little bit different than what you typically see. It'll be a standard elevator, however, it's not gonna have the old elevator machine room, so that's right on the cab now. So you open the door within the hoistway and you get right to the elevator. Works pretty nice. It's kind of a new, I shouldn't say new product, it's been around for 5 to 10 years, so. We're working through the site design for the rear there, and then, I guess anything else then?
No, just on the site work, we'll be putting the water main in, the storm sewer in this early, but then the whole parking lot in the back's gonna be a different project to get some different layouts of what we wanna do next year for 2016. So it'll be a temporary patch for the short term, then we're working with the bank in the city hall and those areas to kind of work them together to something a little different in the back area.
What do you see right now? What do you mean by different?
Put a curbed island in the middle,
Okay.
And then put some trees in there, potentially some light poles, maybe a small area for, what we looked at is rural development has a program, Know Your Farm, Know Your Food, Know Your Farmer, where they have grant money available for farmers markets. So we've been talking about potentially, some of those improvements back there, they may fund, to get something back there where you can use a parking lot for something other than just a big sea of, asphalt. And then the bank has talked to Patrick about trying to do something in their lot and tie their lot in to make it all kind of look the same.
Sure.
But not
Yeah.
having people running through the parking lots, kind of set up a curbed area or something to keep them from doing that, but have the same theme back there, put a couple trees back there. We were looking at from the sidewalk to from the back of curb, potentially putting a sidewalk along the property line. And then in that terrace area, put grass instead of asphalt. And then have some grass or plantings or something in the island, which would be in the middle. The number of stalls is about the same as you have right now, it's just using the space a little more efficiently.
So we're talking to the bank because the back of the mall building, there's a real limited space on what we actually own back there. I think we've got
10 feet?
like a maintenance easement.
I don't think we have, we
Is that
don't own anything, it's just a maintenance easement.
So we have an
You can walk
easement back there,
across it.
but in talking to the bank, when you look at their parking lot, they had intended to build a parking lot like what we're talking about. So if you look at their parking lot, they've got a lot of asphalt, but then they also have those big holes where there's gravel. Well,
Yeah.
they didn't design it that way. What their plan was, they were gonna curb that all up and put in islands with some trees and some grass. They just haven't gotten to that yet.
Oh,
So the discussion we've had with them is potentially we can finish that off, where our property line right now is basically, it's all gravel in between our two parking lots. Can we just pave that and then just call it one big parking lot? And with that, can we then work on our own little, grassy islands or put in some sort of planting? Talking to the bank about them also putting in and finishing off what they had planned to do too. One of the things they told us was they don't really need the space that's behind the mall building right now. It's gravelled off there.
yeah.
So they may either sell or trade it to us, and then we could, dress that up a little bit better. But the main concern they have is they need some parking and they also need to keep clear for their drive-through. So there may be some curbing in there to keep people from just driving through a parking lot into the drive-through, but we've been talking to them a little bit, probably won't hear until next month on what they'll allow to give to us and then what they'll wanna have finished off. But their intent was they wanted to curb it up and dress it up and not leave it with gravel there, so. But we're looking at, if the staging for this project is behind City Hall, we're probably gonna have to look at some kind of an upgrade, cause it's gonna get beat up pretty good on the parking lot. And if we're gonna be constructing until June, July 2016, we're looking at late 2016 or maybe 2017 for parking lot upgrades. And at that point, we would be looking at it as a separate project. So we wouldn't be, in this project, we wouldn't be assigning a lot of those costs for a full revamp of the parking lot with City Hall. We'd be looking at it as more of a parking upgrade.
Yeah, and so hopefully it won't be too long, because you got a nice community center, then you have older people coming in and tripping in potholes and falling into cracks or what? I mean, you said it's gonna be beat up pretty bad, so.
Well, it'll be beat up, but it's not in the best of shape right now either. If you look
Right,
at the
but-
back of City Hall with that stormwater coming down and then running over the parking lot, there's a lot of.
So in
like
other
today
words,
now,
all
there's
I'm,
a lot of dips and everything.
yeah, and all I'm saying is it shouldn't we couldn't let it go too long because of community safety
Yeah.
and all
But
that.
behind the building though, there will be some dressing up and a lot of, we're not gonna leave it gravel up to the building. There will be everything that's on the City Hall
Yeah.
property will be.
We're looking at,
Addressed right away?
outside the the garage, a concrete landing area, a small concrete area out of both doors until we know exactly what we're doing with the back. But then we'll pave a small kind of asphalt walkway from the parking lot into the building so people can do that and it can be maintained during the winter. Now, again, as Patrick mentioned, about 2016 or 17, The only reason it may get pushed to 17 is that the contractor doesn't start till September 1st. If he starts September 1st and we gave him 300 days to do the work, that puts us at July 1st as a debt completion time. And then we've got to get them moving to get them in that year. So we'll play it by ear, but we'll absolutely try and get it all in the end of next year, September, October, and then go from there. But that's kind of what we were looking to do, is dress that area up a little bit. And those final plans are still yet to be put together. We are looking at the storm sewer out in that parking lot. Is only about a foot and a half deep. In my investigation, pulling some manholes and taking a look at a few things, the storm sewer out in the road on Alfred is about 5.5 feet deep. I don't know why, but for some reason many years ago, they tapped into a catch basin real shallow, and the storm sewer is real shallow. We're gonna get it a little deeper because we're bringing all the water off the roof through the storm sewer. We don't want that freezing up. So we're gonna get a little deeper, and we have to run new lines into the parking lot, which will avoid the catch basins freezing up, you getting your ponds of water in the back there in the middle of winter. And those things will avoid all of that.
Is there a drain in the floor of the police garage?
Yes, there's a sand oil interceptor, so it'll be like a large catch basin.
Okay.
And then that drain will go to the sewer.
I'd have to look back at Kurt's plumbing. I think that goes to this.
Where would our main server be placed on that first floor?
Your main server will be located, well, currently what's been discussed with Heartland and our electrical engineer is that it's gonna be located in the lower level, the basement.
Oh, okay.
So as you walk down the stairs, you have the laundry room, and then just to the west of that, you have the electrical and.
Okay.
Actually, if you're looking at. It would be in this room here, so it's a good secure room, and then there's 3 feet in front of the electrical panels and access around the server rack.
Okay.
And a quick note on that too, we've been talking with Heartland because they service what we've had in the past. Now, we talked about this at finance a couple times. There's a RFQ that's been put out, and what that is that's soliciting qualifications and quotes from IT companies. Because the way this is gonna go with technology is you need to get an idea what you would want in the building up front, but on the back end is when you'll sort of develop like a shopping list of technology upgrades. So if you get a bid from a company on the very back end, once we get the construction quotes or bids in, then you'll get an idea where we're at with our budget. And if you're tight to the full budget with construction, you're not gonna have a whole lot of room for a lot of optional technology upgrades. So the way it works, it's a little bit backwards. You don't need bids so far up front. Basically what we're asking for is qualifications for companies to come in and say, have you done door security, camera systems, cabling? And then the third one is like the council chambers and meeting rooms, audio visual. But what we did ask for with that RFQ is to get a rough estimate on what you would think for these systems, what you would give. Because the intent is on the back end, there would be some negotiation on pieces that are included or not, you know.
Sure.
So that's been out, that's actually, I think it's got another week and a half. And there's been a few firms that have called and said, well, we'd be interested in cameras or doors or all of it, or Heartland's one of them. There's a couple other companies in the valley and then Green Bay too, so. But as of yet, we haven't yet selected the IT vendor yet. The other item that's out there that's variable is gonna be the furniture, because it's not, we're not collecting furniture quotes in with this construction bidding. There's an allowance that's included in there. That's probably gonna work just like the technology, where you take a look at what your budget is at, with construction, with the construction bids, and then there will be some level of, we'll end up somewhere between all brand new equipment and furniture and using what we have, so there will probably be a mix and a match. But that'll be something that you end up selecting on the back end, and your budget will be part of that too, considering how much money you do have in the budget. Any other questions? I know on the other, you do have, there's one more question. Looks like, do we need to limit the number of days or hours the sidewalk along Main Street is closed? Do you have a idea on what you would need or what a contractor might need? Is it closed for months or?
I would suspect they're probably going to want to close portions, all the sidewalk for up to 30 to 60 days, and portions of it up to 60 to probably 60 to 90 days would be my suspicion. When I say portions of it, there may be a width that's allowed. The alternative around that is barricading or delineating access through the parking stalls there.
You said portions, I didn't catch the date, what I'm writing a note here.
60 to 90.
60 to 90 after that, or total?
After that.
Okay.
That would be just days that they're working on the facade or front or.
The full closure would probably be for the full time. There is enough space available that I think they can get their scaffolding in. So that then perhaps maybe it would just be the working day. But again, I don't want to, if we can at all help it, I don't want to limit the contractors, because as soon as we limit them on their means and methods of construction, then they're gonna tell us they want more money. So, if they have the option to store, keep some equipment there or something and just keep it fenced in clean order, I prefer to let them.
The other thing we're looking at doing there too is no parking in those first two stalls right in front of City Hall, just so the contractor has his trucks and equipment there. If they need a lift or something, they're working on the building, we're not chasing people down to move the cars.
Yep, yep.
So those two stalls, first two will be no parking for a while, and then once they want to allow them to be open, they're open.
Yeah, it's needed.
I've got one other question to ask, and it's on the front exterior, if you guys look at that. One item that I don't believe up until now we really talked too much about, but it's been included on there, is that railing up front.
Correct.
And that would be a difference, really it's to accommodate the ramp. It's just something that's a little bit different. Now, what type of a sidewalk would we be left with? Do you know about how far out that comes off the front of the building?
The ramp is flush with the existing buildings.
Okay,
Yep, so it doesn't stick out into the sidewalk at all.
okay.
So that'll all remain. Basically, when you drive down Main Street, you'll see that there's a larger step from the mall building, and then the middle building's a little bit less, and then City Hall, there's just kind of a little ramp there. What we had to do is we had to address that, and how we're doing that is a ramp on the middle portion. So you can either take the ramp down, or you can take the 2 steps out.
I don't remember, did we have a thought on a color for what that railing would end up being, or does it matter?
It doesn't matter. Right now, we're looking at a painted railing, so any Sherwin-Williams or Pittsburgh or whomever we get with a paint supplier.
You'd want that powder coated.
We have done powder coated. I've had similar experiences with both powder coated and painted.
How about just aluminum?
Stainless.
Just brushed aluminum or something? Do you have anything you use like that outside?
We've done aluminum. Salt's a little harder on aluminum.
Is it?
What's stainless?
That's,
I'm trying to think if I've ever used stainless. I've used stainless on the anchors and stainless on the connection, but I don't know that I've ever done a stainless railing, and I don't know what the cost difference would be.
quite a bit.
nice thing about the painted steel is that you can always go and touch it up. Yes, it does require maintenance. The aluminum, salts are hard on it, and the other thing is if you put any type of finish on aluminum, the finishes will come off, they get scratched pretty easily on that type of use, so.
So is a contractor looking at some of these components that they would like to get they would like to quote on, they just go to BidQuest and look at the whole package and pick the segments out that they want to quote on?
Correct, they would, let's say.
Is there a project number on BidQuest for that?
Probably not.
It's in the
but
bid,
posted, yeah.
it's in the bid ad.
Yeah, and
Oh, you do have it out there?
It's written right in there with the number to refer to.
what'll happen is, once the project's out for bids, the ad is published, it'll be published in the local paper, and it'll be at the local building exchanges. It'll also be on our website, so if they go to our website, click on plans, they'll be able to see Weyauwega City Hall. And there, they can download everything. And then if they wanna bid on a particular item, let's say they wanna bid on the windows, they'll refer to the plans, and then they gotta look at the specifications, so there'll be a thick specification that'll include parameters for each product. Now, if you have someone looking that just wants to do the metal railings, perhaps that won't be appealing to contractor A or contractor B that is bidding as a general. They may want to have a full metals bid, so they may want the metal supplier to provide the railings, all the beams, lintels, any other municipal or miscellaneous items that may be part of that metals package. Division 5 they call that.
And then the plan holders list on there has the generals, or most of them will have generals that they'll be able to say, okay, Meyer and CD Smith, those guys are generally. So then that subcontractor would call them and say, I'd like to submit a bid on this.
Do you need that Quest e-bid number? I've got it here if you needed it.
4913-0030?
No. It's 365 2977.
I just wanna look at it and see how it's all structured.
Yep.
I don't know if you go to Quest how easy it's gonna be to find it there, but I know if you go to our website, that's probably the simplest way to do it.
Okay.
There's, the Quest is a online plan room that contractors and vendors belong to, so they get notifications when different projects come out. So that's how they're made aware of it.
And that's cedarcorp.com is their website. And it says, so the ad that we're putting out now, we've noticed in the paper coming up here twice, I think. Complete digital project bidding documents are available at cedarcorp.com.
And then once you go to our website, you hit the plan room and it takes you right to Quest, so that is Quest website. I've been using that for, I think, 8 years now, and it works really, really good. I'm getting more attention on projects.
Did we decide on that marquee up here, what this was gonna be?
I thought we were saying stone.
Yeah, what,
But then-
municipal,
Center.
I don't like
Center.
that. Then you've got community center over here, I think that, why don't you just put municipal building on there?
Oh,
But
because
that's what it is.
because this is where my first thought was, should have been to here, not to here.
You
The
lost me.
center feeling in the community center, you wouldn't call it a community building, you'd call it community center.
Right.
Whereas in municipal, it is the building for more of the business, not the,
Oh, so
I
we're
hear
on the
you
same
now.
page with
Yeah,
that.
now
Yeah,
I'm,
that's the way I'm looking at it.
So you wanna go back to
cause at
call it
first I saw it the
municipal
other
building
way, huh?
now? You wanna call it municipal building now?
With it being the
sounds
community
better.
center.
I'm
sounds
okay
better
either way,
with me.
so, but he's got written down
Well,
municipal center.
without being repetitive with the center, and I was thinking, It's the same thought, it just switched to the proper,
Right. Well, that's fine, but that's the guy over there that needs to know.
he's listening, right?
Yeah, we can make that change.
What do you
Well,
think?
that's smart,
Fine with whatever it goes.
cause you don't want center, yeah, community center, municipal building, yeah. You're right.
And then keep the community center as community center?
Yes.
Yes. Most definitely.
That's okay. Municipal building, be consistent with that.
Yep. Yeah, cause that way if we make a sign and put it back, it says community center on that building. For that side of it.
Mm-hmm.
I have the council's latitude to play with the lettering width, just to make sure we can get it to fit. It might, I may have to, but this building is gonna be a couple more letters.
BLDG dot is fine, isn't it? Or don't they do that? Don't they shorten it up like that?
If you want an example, I think Osseo there, that one we called out building.
Yep. Yeah, you can spell it out. That's okay.
Today's world with technology and all the texting, they shorten everything up.
Well, I don't know, I've always been pretty short when I write. I did think of one question that, on the plumbing. The water fountains. We have a water or drinking fountain on the main level and one at the second level, right outside the restrooms. One idea I had, and I was just talking to the plumbing engineer today on it, was that typically you see the high and low drinking fountain. One is low, one is high, so if you get a sore back. What you can do now, and they're doing it in schools, is you have one low and then you have the bottle filler on it. We could save, I think, probably $500 per water fountain. Just a thought.
They have the loop spigot on it?
No, they
Is
just have a
something to
filler
fill a
that
water
sticks
bottle or
out.
what?
It just sticks right up to the back of the fountain. A lot of
I
schools
haven't
are
seen
doing
that.
I've never seen one.
It's easier to put underclassmen on the bubbler.
That would. The other thing is a lot of people are, bringing their own water bottles rather than bottled water, so
Right.
that's why they've gained such popularity. Some, depending on the model, actually tell you how many bottles you've saved
Wow.
as a readout on it. So if you like, I can make that change.
If you haven't seen one, they have it in the high school gym. And they do have a little meter on there.
Yep.
And the kids bring all their own renewable water bottles and cuts down on weight and it counts every time you fill up a 12-ounce bottle.
They've been gaining popularity.
But the handicap water fountain, that would be, 'cause the lower one used to always be just for kids or something, wasn't it? Or were those for, just tell me what the difference with handicap,
The-
regular size,
What I call is the ADA ones you have is lower, so probably about desk height. Kids always use them because it's convenient, but
Yeah.
their purpose was for wheelchair bound. And then you have the higher one because if you have a back impairment or something, or can't bend down, or if you're tall like me, that you kind of need that, so. So that was the intent there. So,
I would think the bottle filler would be worthwhile.
I think so too.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think, for lesser cost, I think you're gonna get more use out of it.
Right.
You could always add a cup dispenser there too, if you ever decided.
But there would be only, to clarify, one water fountain.
One per floor level.
Yeah, and then the bottle thing.
Any other questions or concerns?
What kind of fixtures are they? More of the modern, like the hand touch, or, you know, like water fixtures in the bathrooms, toilets, all that, just the sensor type, or?
The toilets will be the flush valve. So the floor mount flush valve, like you see in a lot of your schools, and then they have a sensor on them.
That's,
Your will be the same, and then the faucets will be sensor faucets. So, you know, the kitchen sink, that stuff is the old-fashioned twin blade, more institutional style. They don't come, you can get them with sensor, but not necessarily.
Yeah.
I try to design around functionality and maintainability.
Will a lot of the lighting be can lighting?
Very little can lighting, almost all 2x4 recessed fluorescent with dual level switching, so you can have bright and intermediate light, and part of that is for energy code. We're at the community center and the council room. There are options that are more sophisticated for lighting controls, for daylighting that code requires that we do daylighting control. Rather than doing the expensive, sophisticated controls that no one understands a year after we leave the project and the contractor's gone, we put in a switch. Simple, it meets code, works well, and you're not calling me or calling the contractor, calling the vendor a year later. How do we program this? We can't get the lights to work.
Okay.
Occupancy sensors in almost all the light switches.
Anything else? Like we said, we're looking at getting it out on the street next week. The bid opening again is scheduled for April 14th. Now, there is a pre-bid meeting on March 31st. Just to run through, it's a meeting with potential contractors, bidders. One of the things that I think this is an exciting step, for as long as you've been discussing space needs in City Hall, you've only been working with estimates and, you know, potential price ranges. Getting it out for bid, regardless of how you feel about where we're at with the project, at least you'll get some hard costs. So that'll be kind of an exciting step. So, and it looks like it's about a month away, so it's a good deal for some more certainty anyway, or more information.
Is there gonna be a fire sprinkler system set up in this, all levels too?
Correct. And the attic as well. The new water main for that system will be coming off of Alfred,
Okay.
so we're not tearing up Main Street.
Anything else? The review and discussion is the only item we had on the agenda. Next item would be such other matters as authorized by law. I don't have any at all.
Are we supposed to answer the question about the 20-year roof warranty tonight?
That would be included as an alternate. So there's, what he said earlier, and that's the question I had was, so I think the base is a 20-year warranty. The alternate option would be actually 30-year warranty.
All right.
And you said you had just written that wrong, is that what you're saying?
That's in my memo. Yeah, I was, as you
Yeah.
can see, I was trying to.
Because when I read that, I'm like,
Stuff here and
Okay.
yeah.
And also in the memo, it said 300 working days and 300 calendar days.
Oh.
300 working days, so probably another 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah, remember, that gives me about a half hour to put this together. So.
You did good.
And I gotta do it all from memory.
Yeah.
Now, and I mentioned on the deductive alternates, everything typically is a deduct. Now, on the 10 years more on a warranty is probably gonna be an adder. So you have to weigh how much more it is for 10 more years warranty. They're not gonna give you a deduct on that. All the other ones should be deducts. They may be an adder, and then we know we just don't use them.
The other way I've done it too, that has worked pretty well, is just include them all as ads. Then you have the base price, and if you want the showers, we just add on the price for that. If we wanna go with the tile, we could just add that, just food for thought.
Those are all adders then?
We could just do it that way.
I like seeing them that way,
Okay.
personally.
Okay. So we'll do additive alternates, then they're all the same ads. Kinda like an à la carte, I guess.
Yeah.
Here's your project, and then if
Yeah.
you want this on top, you can have that.
I just got one thing that's another such matters. After watching Mrs. Clinton try to explain her emails, try to remember to use your .gov for anything city-related. And not your personal one, your work one, or even your Gmail one, because she's having a hard time explaining her stuff. And
Oh, yeah.
you're opening
Yeah.
yourself up to a lot of stuff. So anything city-related, make sure it goes through the city email. Just in case.
Good idea.
That's it. Just don't have a laptop, so.
Oh, if there's nothing else, we need a motion to adjourn.
Make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second it. Right?
7:43.
It's at the top.
Anybody wants to look at any of the items?